How to beat the lockdown blues. This has been a constant concern, and a lot of people, including myself, have been dealing with this and battling with it, even to a mild degree. I am not personally having too many problems with it. I'm actually having more problems with the rain than any pandemic because I work from home, so this is nothing unusual for me. However, most people like to be out and about and doing their thing and don't work from home. And so this is a whole new scenario for most people. So in order to be able to beat the lockdown blues, we must first understand why we're having problems dealing with it in the first place. So I say this to say I can give you tips and tools, but it's not going to make the difference. That's like saying, oh, you're on lockdown. Now you're at home when you're used to going out when you want on your terms. You're not home with kids and significant others. It's a whole new thing. And just say, oh, okay, well, just be happy, be grateful, get over it. Everything will be fine. This is temporary. Enjoy the time while you can. That all sounds great on the surface, but that will not penetrate the subconscious and mostly unconscious blocks that are actually getting in the way of really maximizing these new sets of circumstances, these new external conditions, and actually using them to your advantage. So we must look for the not so obvious or unknown missing pieces first, and then we can apply the tips and the tools of enjoying the journey and the process and really utilizing this time to our benefit. So the first thing and the most important thing is change. The human brain, our fear mechanism, at all costs does not want to be taken out of status quo, of the comfort zone, of what the norm is, what we have been historically doing before lockdown. Meaning we get set in our ways and we go to work and come home and see the kids and do all the things we're used to doing, and we're running our lives in ways that has become comfortable, with not a lot of threat or danger, and primarily talking about my country, the United States. We have these habits and we've built this certain life and it feels quote unquote comfortable. Now, when I talk about danger and threat, what I'm really saying is the human brain is hardwired to detect so fast, so supersonic fast, any potential threats or danger, anything that might threaten or compromise being dead or alive, living with a pulse and breathing with a pulse. And we need this mechanism for survival. And if we didn't have it, there'd be a lot more deaths per day without this mechanism. So it's vital that we have it. Unfortunately, this gets activated regardless of the situation. So in other words, the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. The fear mechanism needs other parts of the mind, like the conscious mind, to help it distinguish what's really truly a death threat versus an undeath threat. Meaning, if the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is imagined, if we have an imagined fear, like the fear of flying, the fear of skydiving, the fear of heights, then even if we're in an airplane and the doors are closed and we're looking out the window, that person who's afraid of heights is going to think, oh no, I'm going to die, when there's no way of falling out of the airplane. So we now have the situation where unless the conscious mind can step in and be rational and logical and make sense of the situation, the subconscious mind is going to predicate the situation, meaning it's going to say, oh no, oh no, oh no, you could die, you could die, you could die, when in reality, the chances are virtually slim to none that there's any death threat here. So the subconscious mind is imagining the possibility and high probability that this could create death. So if that's the case, it engages this hyper-vigilant fear under the surface that is kind of humming or idling in the unconscious background, and we have no idea. So the only thing that the brain and the body can do is overcompensate and try to fix it without really understanding the root cause of the problem. And so symptoms emerge. And those symptoms are anxiety, insomnia, depression, fear. So if someone's like, oh no, this is the anxiety they feel on an airplane if they're deathly afraid of heights, or going and hiking, up a mountain, where it's safe. Let's just say there's rails, or you take one of those gondolas and they still are, oh no, I'm going to fall. I'm going to, fall out of the gondola and I'm going to die. That creates a lot of anxiety. And yet again, the chances of that happening are slim to none, but it doesn't matter because that person's brain is on high alert, red alert, getting ready to abort at any situation and any time to help keep that particular person alive. But the whole time there's this inner conflict going on within the mind of, oh no, it's okay. Oh no, it's okay. Oh no, it's internal conflict. And this internal conflict then comes along with these symptoms like edginess, irritability, frustration, anxiety. It will show up in the body, like jiggling the leg. When you see people and their leg goes while they're sitting there, you can see their leg going up and down, up and down, up and down. Or they're chewing gum, or they're smoking, or they're fidgeting. These are the symptoms of this low-grade, virtually unconscious fear in play, then covered up with the next layer of the internal conflict, and yet we have no idea what is consciously going on. We don't have any conscious awareness that there's something deeper going on way below the surface. And that's the phenomenon that's being created right now, especially when there's mass hysteria, there's a pandemic, and it's affecting the masses. So we can only imagine, let's just take away before the pandemic, before all this happened, if we're just dealing with ourselves, we already come with inherent internal conflict. We have this hardwired fear mechanism, and its job is to keep us alive, breathing with a pulse. Then, that's difficult enough. I mean, understanding all of this set me free. This was me my entire life, creating this undiagnosed, hidden, low grade of depression. And the depression was a symptom of not understanding what my conscious mind was saying versus all the deep-seated insecurities I had laying deep below the surface, unconscious to me, in the subconscious mind. So all these things were going on, and I had no idea there was this disconnect. There were missing pieces to the puzzle. There were things that I didn't know, that I had no idea to even look for, to make sense of the overall understanding of myself and my mind, and how I was sabotaging myself invisibly, unconsciously, without even knowing it. And it made me feel blah. It made me feel sad. So if we look at depression, it's this sadness plus this low energy plus this almost, this conscious, what's the use? Why bother? I don't see any hope. And a lot of times we don't even feel that. We're just looking out going, okay, that person's life looks like it's fantastic, and why is mine not fantastic? Why do I feel sad? Why do I feel lonely? Why do I feel low energy? Why do I feel like a failure? These are the things, and with no answers. And that thought or perception, that perspective on life is a downer. Like, just, you can even feel your energy lowering when you're like, why is my life so yucky and their life is so great? So that's comparison. That doesn't make anybody feel good about themselves. So whatever our thoughts are, our perceptions, how we perceive ourselves and the world around us creates our emotions, our feelings. And these feelings then create our actions or our lack thereof. And now we're into procrastination. So the bottom line is the human brain in general does not want to be taken out of its comfort zone. And that the mind is the brain in action. The mind is that consciousness co-creating with subconsciousness and unconsciousness, and all of that together creates mindfulness. And it's really the conscious mind that we can be aware and kind of assess the situation. But there's such an incredible capacity for the brain to learn, and yet there's so much that inherently we don't know. There's so much to still learn and to delve into and to research and to know, especially in the realm of understanding our self, our SELF. And this is what set me free, is the more I understood myself, my thoughts, my views, my perceptions, my opinions of myself and the world around me and other people around me and my parents and my siblings, when I really understood the who, what, where, when, and why of the entire situation, that's when it all clicked. That's when one domino hit the next domino, with this domino effect of understanding myself and having a clearer, more confident sense of myself. It was all about looking for the missing pieces, the things I couldn't see, or I didn't know, or I had no idea that I even needed to look for these things, like understanding the basic fear function in the human brain and how it is just built and designed for mere black and white survival, being dead or alive. And if I then couple that with the subconscious mind, which I heard from Bob Proctor when I had the honor of hearing him speak, I'm sitting in the front row, and he said, the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. All of a sudden, a light bulb went on, like, oh my God, if my subconscious mind, I'm barely and not even conscious of anything, it doesn't know whether the threat is real or the threat is just perceived fear. In other words, I like to say it this way: the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between the fear of dying, skydiving, the chance of dying in skydiving versus the fear of going out on a first date with the guy that I was madly in love with and had such an attraction and infatuation for, finally asks me out, and oh my God, now I have a date with this dream man. I'm like, what if it doesn't work? My subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what if it doesn't work versus what if my parachute doesn't open and I die? What if he doesn't like me? What if he doesn't think the same about me as I do about him? What if the date goes wrong? What if he doesn't ask me out on a second date? I'm going to die. That's how we feel. I can even tell you when I lost my dog that I rescued off the street. She's this tiny little 4 or 5 pound Chihuahua with visible scars on her. And I literally picked her up off the street. She had no collar on. She was flea infested. She was starving and hungry. And I took her to the vet months after I've had her. So I had bonded to this precious little baby. And this little Chihuahua looked like a miniature deer because she's a deer head Chihuahua. And finally I said, okay, I'll take her to the vet to get her teeth cleaned because she needed her teeth cleaned and to get spayed. And, under the anesthesia, she passed away and I was devastated to the point where I remember screaming out. I was with a friend looking at a horse, helping her look at a horse she wanted to rescue. And I got the call from the vet and we immediately drove back to the vet's office because I thought it was just routine because I'd been through spaying another dog, 2 dogs. So it was a routine thing, but it wasn't. She, passed away. And when I talked to the vet, we're in the car and I just lost it. I felt like I wanted to die. And I even said it out loud. Oh my God, I can't live without her. I just want to die. I can't live without this dog. She was so special to me because she was the quote unquote underdog. And I am a pro underdog person. I'm the person who wants to help the less fortunate. And that's one of my things. And so I had this special bond with this dog. But I remember saying, I said it twice, like, oh my God, I can't go on without her. I want to die. The pain was so deep. And did I really mean that logically? Absolutely not. But I felt like it. And this is what really trips us up. This is what causes so much internal chaos and crisis in our own minds. This is what blocks us and stops us from our dreams. This is what gets us and keeps us in our own way, and we don't even know it. So it's virtually impossible to get out of our own way. And then even harder and more trying is then maintaining and sustaining, staying out of our own way. That's the trick. That's really the biggest issue and puzzle right there, is sustaining our ability to stay out of our own way, to stop with the internal, invisible, unconscious conflict that we go through every single day of our lives, moment by moment. 1 minute we can be on top of on top of life, and the next, within just 1 minute or less, we get hit with bad news, like my dog just died from anesthesia at the vet's office. Hello, the last place we'd think that would happen. And then I'm down the dark road. 1 minute we're looking at this horse and everyone's happy, and we're seeing that the horse is connecting to my friend because she wants to rescue it. And the next thing you know, we get a call and boom, I guess go down the darkest, deepest tunnel into, and I was sobbing. She couldn't drive fast enough. I come running and sobbing hysterically over my dog, to the point where the vet was crying. I turn around and he's crying. Like, it was horrific. And I just think this little tiny baby that I'd rescued, how could she have just died, at the vet's office under the most controlled conditions? And that's what takes us out of our safety in our minds, our comfort zone. And that's what creates so much trauma and drama within, again, our own minds. So we just go through this. This is something that we go through. Everyone on the planet, every human being will go through this. But if we talk about our country, the United States, and a first world where we don't have the obvious barbaric living situations like we still do in the Middle East and other parts of the world, that we're in this situation where for the most part we're in the comfort of our own home. We're not having to worry about someone taking a gun out and shooting us for no reason. And I know I don't want to discount the areas where that is prevalent in the United States, but in general, I just want to talk generally speaking. We don't have to face that, thank goodness, on a daily basis. And when we're taken out of this perceived safety zone or comfort zone, or what we perceive as more of a secure zone, then our brain goes haywire. The fear mechanism engages, and it has to be on high alert just in case there's a threat, and a death threat, a threat to our livelihood, a threat to our biology, a threat to, again, our heart beating and our blood pumping, breathing with a pulse. And so now if we couple that with mass hysteria, and mass media, now everybody, now we're going to have more people exposed to the hysteria, the chaos, the crisis. So it just exacerbates, it engages even more this whole fear phenomenon. And we're off to the races, and not a good race at all. We're off to the scary races of pandemic, oh no, and not to discount the deaths and the disease, but when we're falling into, oh no, problem, negativity, pessimism, death threatening my life, we're now in very poor perceptions, and we're in skewed perceptions. We're in thoughts of, oh no, of high alert. We're actually going, oh no, be careful. Oh no, not to say don't be careful, but let's not overreact. Let's not over dramatize. Let's get the facts. Let's understand this fear mechanism. Let's understand that, oh, thank you, brain. You're just trying to say, be careful. If you want to live a long life, take your precautions, be smart about things. Thank you, brain. We don't have to go down the whole dramatic, oh my God, 162 confirmed cases of COVID-19, of the coronavirus. Oh no. It's going to get me. Hang on, before we have to get so dramatic about it, let's take a look. Where are the most cases? New York City. Why is that happening? Do the research. Don't count on the news. Do your own independent research. Because there's a lot of people in one area. It's easy to spread the disease. You're going to find, if you do the research, the facts of why there, not here, how many confirmed cases in your specific area. When I did the research just a couple of weeks ago, and I was looking at the numbers, some of the states had 0 cases. Some of the countries, 0. Then there was 1 here and 1 there and 2 here. So it just depends, but you want to look. And then are you going out, or are you obeying what the precautionary measures? Are you staying close to home? Are you washing your hands? Are you, using a mask if that's what you think is in your best interest? Are you taking the precautions and your, social distancing, all of these things come into play. The more you stress out over nothing without gathering the actual facts, the more you're going to compromise your immune system, your ability to fight any disease. Doesn't matter what disease it is that if you're in a constant state of fear and, oh no, what if, I can't, oh no, it's going to get me. If you're in a constant state of, oh no, and thinking the worst, those are your perceptions, oh no, then your emotions and feelings inevitably follow suit. They will then back up the, oh no, be scared, be cautious, be negative, be pessimistic, be a downer. I call it be a Debbie Downer. That's what you end up, and I end up. This is not just a you thing, this is a we thing. All humans with a human brain have the same mechanism. And so we're now, and this is what I saw for myself, this is the root cause of my low-grade chronic depression. That even when I was in therapy as a child, which I asked for, I want therapy. I asked my parents for therapy. Nobody was diagnosing it. They couldn't even see it. They didn't even know what was happening. And it was crazy. And so this low-grade depression was just this internal conflict of not understanding, the basic functions of just my brain and how it affects my thoughts, how it affects my perspective on life. And then, which are just our thoughts, again, followed by our feelings. And then these feelings, if we're feeling blah and low energy, negative and pessimistic, we don't want to do anything. That is not going to get us up off the couch and off social media. It's actually going to draw us more into the negativity. It's almost like that feeling of you're compelled, but you don't know why, and you just keep watching and you can't shut it off, even though your conscious mind is like, shut this off. This is depressing. This is a downer. And you keep going. It's like this pull. That is the hypervigilant subconscious mind drawing you into the radio frequencies, the vibrational frequency of staying in the negative. No, the only way we can get out of that is the conscious mind, is the powerful conscious mind to say, listen, if you keep listening to this, you're going to feel worse and worse and worse and worse. And now we're talking about my mother. All she does is watch the news. All she does is watch the stock market. Well, guess what? And I've been telling her for years, well, it's going to crash. It's going to crash. And I knew, because of my own research and history, and looking at the statistics. Also, I'm not a big fan of the stock market. And the mentors that I have, supported what I already felt intuitively, and sure enough, boom. So the minute that happens, she's now sucked down and keeps listening to the news. And I just say, no, don't do it. But she doesn't listen. So, what am I going to do? I don't spend a whole lot of time listening to her negativity. I will not, actually. And so she has to deal with that. But that's what it ends up happening, is it takes you down the dark road, and you're going to have very little chance of getting out back into the sunny, light, happy, bright, fun road if you're sucked in to this negativity. And it's a low-grade frequency. And it's like a channel that you can't hear, that's very staticky. And you can't hear what's going across the radio frequency clearly. And that, to me, just resonates. That makes sense to me. And then out of experience, I know, because that was me. And the moment we start understanding ourselves and this phenomenon, and we can look for the good, reframe our perceptions, put life in perspective, and keep life in perspective, that actually is a positive outlook, an optimistic outlook, a happy outlook, a grateful outlook, then sure enough, the feelings follow suit, and we're feeling really good. Even when our circumstances and everything around us is going a little haywire. And this is one of the most important messages that I want to get out right now is if we have this ability to understand ourselves and not get caught up, and we really train the conscious mind to quickly reframe and take us from the negative to the positive, take us from the pessimistic to the optimistic, take us from poverty thinking to prosperous thinking, then our emotions follow. We're feeling lighter. We're feeling better. We're feeling hopeful. We're feeling so hopeful that we're feeling we want to help. We want to be the leader, not the follower. We want to step up and be of service. We want to be part of the solution, not the problem. Hence why I'm podcasting and putting out content more so than ever lately, because I know what it's like to feel so poor and destitute in my own mind, to live in this constant inner conflict of thinking I'm so pathetic and such a failure. And really, I felt like I was such a loser. And deep under this, I had this gross self-hatred because nothing made sense to me. Like, why wasn't I prettier and thinner and more athletic? And why couldn't I take dance classes and be a cheerleader, not a softball player? All these things early on set the programs of me thinking the worst about myself, not the best. And then that created these perceptive filters, and these filters now colored my view of everyone and everything else outside of me. It colored my world, but in a really bleak, ugly color, and really dark colors and gloomy colors. And so no wonder I'm feeling this low-grade depression. And then, trying to fix it, trying to be an overachiever, trying to be perfect, trying to do my best and be the best. I thought I could fix it, and it only got worse. And the more I succeeded, the more I became better and fitter and more accomplished, the less I felt good about myself, because it still wasn't working. I still was feeling bouts of depression and life not making sense, and I still didn't have a powerful, empowering, confident, loving sense of myself, unconditionally loving sense of myself, of my self-worth. And so what truly made the difference was understanding the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind, the conscious mind, the fear mechanism. The one thing that will certainly bring us down and keep us addicted to the negative is when we're outside our comfort zone and it looks like things are really scary. That just keeps feeding in and perpetuating. So now we're on the wheel of insanity. The insanity of, thinking the same things, doing the same things, expecting different results, expecting different feelings. And we're in a trap, and we can't get out of that cycle. And it's a very insidious, diabolical cycle. It's vicious. And so through my own experience, understanding this, practicing it, training, understanding more, reading more, attending seminars, hiring mentors, and working with coaches, I was able to turn it all around and retrain my mind, which is retraining the brain, so to speak, to override. So the mind and the conscious mind can override the default mechanism of the brain. And that's what's worked for me. I don't care what science says. I don't care what anybody says. It's worked because I'm still here. And I have been able to do this and not just rebuild my life from nothing. It's been better than it's ever been my entire life overall. So, and it's just been these last 11 years or so. Last 11 years that I have been able to take everything, all the self-help and all what I've learned, but what really put me over to the other side of, oh my God, this is the best thing ever, was understanding the fear mechanism and how it was getting in my way automatically for survival purposes. And it was just merely, me understanding this and retraining my conscious mind to override it. I also needed to understand what was hidden deep in the unconscious from my childhood and healing all those wounds from my childhood. So that's something even deeper that I highly recommend, because that's what really catapulted everything. But for right now, just understanding when we get out of our perceived safety zone, feeling a sense of safety and security, it automatically triggers the fear mechanism, and it all goes to heck in a handbasket. We have this underlying and overlying sense of being out of control. We have no control over our lives and what's happening around us, which continues to feed into this fear phenomenon, and we can't get out of it. But yes, we can. The conscious mind saying, wait a minute, we're now overreacting, we're over-dramatizing, we're not being rational and logical, we're not doing our own independent research and really looking at the statistics and the facts that affect us directly, affect me directly. And am I going to take the high road or the low road? Am I going to reframe my perceptions and my perspective to see the good in all of this? And because there is so much good, that will be the next podcast. There is so much good here that it's ridiculous. And the only reason I can take that stand and be in that thought process and have those perceptions and that point of view and perspective is because I lived most of my life in the poor perspective of it never going right. And in my objective reality, I had so much going for me. It was ridiculous. That was what had me feel so crazy, is that as much as I accomplished, as much as I was able to do circumstantially in my external world, I still didn't see it as anything positive. And when I was able to internalize and assimilate all that positivity into my life and for myself, and let go of criticizing myself and judging myself so harshly, and I was able to then not be affected by other people's judgment and criticism, even if I felt it and they never said anything, or their jealousy. All of those things I became stronger in dealing with, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. Only through crisis are we most motivated to change. This crisis is all about the opportunity to see what we haven't seen, to learn and grow and become wiser and more enlightened in these times, and not fall into, oh no, the fear of it all and thinking the worst, but thinking the best of, thank goodness I have my mind, my mental health, my physical health, my family, my friends, whomever, whatever. I'm going to say my horses, everything I've built, my ranch family that helps me with everything. I'm now in such gratitude and abundance and prosperity in all these times, and knowing that my conscious mind can say, wait a minute, before we go down the dark road, before we listen to what people are telling me or what I'm hearing on the news, let me do the work. Let me research. Let me check into the statistics and the accuracy and the reliability of what I'm hearing, and draw my conclusions from that. Create my perspective and my perceptions, my thoughts from my trusting myself, from my point of view. And that's another thing, the intuition, the gut. Trusting my intuition is everything to me. It has never, ever, ever led me wrong. And is this resonating with me? Is this making sense? That is the gauge. Is this feeling right to me? Is this feeling good to me? Is this feeling in alignment? Is this feeling cohesive? Or is this feeling like it's a little off, not making sense? It's the contradiction. Feeling that the data isn't supporting the drama. The data doesn't support the drama. And that's what has then catapulted understanding the fear mechanism, is now getting the data to support the drama. And more times than not, the data doesn't support the drama. And I'm only talking from experience. All the data, if you looked at historically everything I accomplished, that data that can be proven in a court of law, that data in no way, shape, or form could support my depression, my drama, my inner drama, my inner conflict. It was impossible. As a matter of fact, I looked crazy. Now that's crazy, is that the data supported the complete opposite. It contradicted the depression. It contradicted the inner turmoil and drama in my mind. And then when I was able to own it over time and assimilate it and integrate it into, oh my God, wow, I am really awesome. I've been able to do so much. You know, when I started to just say, wow, I'm proud of myself. I acknowledge myself. Nobody ever has to. Like, I love me for these reasons. Then that's what spun everything around from self-hatred to self-love. And now I had all these powerful perceptions, and my life is so now in such a proper perspective that it opened up automatically a sense of hopefulness, helpfulness. It opened up abundance and prosperity, and more than anything, this sense of gratitude, of thankfulness, of, oh my gosh, of purpose. Now I understand why I'm here on this planet, on this little blue-green marble, and what my purpose is in the big scheme of life. And all of a sudden, one dot connected the next dot, the next dot, the next dot, only looking backwards, and has catapulted me forward to share this information with anyone or no one, you know, anyone who's interested. And if no one ever listens, that's okay too, is that I get to express myself, and I get to be me, and I get to share what's worked for me. And if it helps someone, great. And if it doesn't, great. I have the ability to just stay passionate and put out whatever I want to say. And I believe every human being on the planet has the right, it's a birthright, to express themselves from a pure, truthful place, from a place of helpfulness. But even if it's hurting, that's okay too. Self-expression, and with no judgment, no criticism. And that's why I do it, is I feel that if, from my own experiences and everything that I've been through, that there are a lot of people that can relate to my situation, because I related to everybody else's situation as I was going through my process and my journey of healing. And what helped me more than anything was hearing other people's personal stories of travesty to triumph. You know, what made the difference for them, why, you know, they were feeling so bad about themselves, and why now they have been able to transform that and shift the paradigms to be in a place of self-acknowledgement, self-worth, self-love, self-pride, and being so proud of themselves and accomplishing so much. And that's what I believe every human being truly is looking for, to some degree or another, and most of the time we have no idea that's what it is. And so I'm hoping this helps. I'm hoping that you've learned something from this. I like saying my hashtag, empowering you through me, empowering you through us. And it's all about paying it forward and helping the next human, empowering the next human, acknowledging the next human. This is a we situation, a we world. We are one. I believe what connects us is we're all human, which levels the playing field, but it also gives us the collective ability to create this heaven on earth and have happy humans, healthy humans, and that for sure, I believe, makes a happy world and a happy universe and a happy galaxy. So thank you all for listening. I would love to hear your comments, your points of view, your questions. How can I address something that you're dealing with that would have you have a clearer, more confident sense of yourself? You can email me at Karen, Karen, love, L-O-V-E, Lee, L-E-E, at gmail.com. Karen Love Lee at gmail.com. You can also message me on my website, KarenLoveLee.com. You can get to my social media from my website. My podcast is up on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, radio.com mobile app. All you have to go and look for is my hashtag, Karen Lovely Podcast, The Power of Self-Evolution. It's all there. Listen from a place of what I can relate to. How does that affect my life? If we're all one, this is what another thing that set me free was understand. I thought I was so different. No, is that leveling the playing field of being human. I could relate to so many other people's stories, their breakdowns, their breakthroughs, their drama, but their triumphs and their victories. It was so amazing. That helped me so much, more so than I can ever quantify. And so I encourage you to listen to my podcasts and dig deep to understand yourself and love yourself unconditionally and own your genius, own your brilliance, own your self-worth. It's so worth it, and it is the remedy. It's the solution to inner conflict, inner crisis, outer conflict, outer crisis. It starts from within. The mind and the human brain is so supersonic powerful that everything you need is already within you. Thank you, and I wish you a magnificently magical, prosperous, dream-filled fairy tale life forever and always. Thank you so much.